Hello, hello, lovely souls. It is Sonia here with Fresh Approach Fitness, a wellness company, and we are July 5th, 2020, episode number 15. I say this every single week, but wow, right? Where has the time gone? It's been 15 weeks since I have started these podcasts, and 15 weeks I find that my inspiration continues, my motivation expands, and my accountability has expanded. Those are just some of my personal wins over the last 15 weeks. I would love to hear what some of yours are. When I say, my accountability has expanded, I'm working with another weight loss group to help keep myself and others accountable and motivated. Inspiration can come from the sounds of the birds chirping outside when I'm setting my intentions and my affirmations. And I've been doing that more and more because I've been enjoying it more and more as I'm writing out what I'm grateful for. And, motivation, that's another great point. Motivation is everywhere. I see it when I see people walking together, or when I'm seeing a fitness clip online, or when I'm just hearing the desires that other people want to do. I myself have been tracking through my Creative Collections habit tracker, and I've noticed that when I've been tracking my activity, that they all fall into one of those three categories: motivation, inspiration, and accountability. So what have you done? What have you done in the last 15 weeks to elevate and upgrade the way you think? Are you at the point where you're continuously being inspired, motivated, accountable? Are you still thinking about some of those things? Have you implemented them, and how? Again, fitness has been part of my life for over 10 years, and I've ebbed and flowed a little bit, and I would expect the same for all of you. So that's the same thing with healthy habits. Some of those are easier to stay on track and to stay on par with at different times, but we've all gone through so much recently. So give yourself some kindness, give yourself some space, and just pause for a few minutes and reflect on what's happened over the last 15 weeks in your life, and what are some of the wins that you've had. Well, that's not even what today's podcast is about. That was just a quick little share to see where you're at. And to let you know where I'm at and how much weekly I love looking forward to these episodes. I prepare for them. I do some research and some reading, but then more often than not, I just put that aside and I just jump right on and share with you where I'm at. So today, it's all about rest and play, which is ironic coming from me because those are two areas of my life where I could use better habits. Rest and play. What does that mean to you? Rest and play to me means blending my health, my professional, and my personal responsibilities. It means as important as it is for me to get up and do my morning routine and to work and to serve others, I need time to myself. Although I'm working from home and nobody's around, I need that downtime to recharge. I need that downtime to just be in the moment, not think about work, not think about what needs to be done, completely be. So, as I mentioned, I struggle with rest and I struggle with play. My kids are a little bit older, we don't really play with them, and with my restrictions, it's a little bit harder to go for a hike when I can barely go for a walk. So some of the activities I would have liked to do in the past for playing would be hiking and really playing at the beach with the kids as they were growing up, playing frisbee or playing catch with them. But there's so many different things we can do now for play, even as adults. We could play in a pool all day. We can still go to the beach. We could go camping and leave our I can't say leave our Wi-Fi at home and leave our technology at home because that's not smart. But maybe put your phone on Do Not Disturb and only let certain calls come through. Play can also be creative. So painting is one of the things I like to do right now for play. Gardening. is one of the things I like to do for play. And it's not as playful as you would think because these are softer, playful areas. I'm not playing a game of hockey, but that's a perfect example of play in terms of fitness and a teamwork, where when you're playing hockey, you are in the moment. You can't help your teammates. You're not worried about work. You're not worried about your bills. You're literally worried about where the puck is and where you need to be. And that's the same thing as when you're playing football. If you're playing a co-ed adults volleyball team, I used to do that. I used to do that every Wednesday, and I loved it. I had so much fun. Wednesday night for 2 hours, I would play co-ed volleyball. Some of the people that were playing were 70 years old. And I mean, this was going back maybe 8 years now. And they were 70. I was in my early 40s or just 40. And actually, I was in late 30s, early 40s. And wouldn't you know that they whipped our butts. But it's playful. Again, you're watching the ball, you're serving, you're getting ready to volley so somebody else can hit it. You can't focus on anything else but what you're doing during that particular time. And this is where rest and play have an impact on your day-to-day. Many, many, many of us are weekend warriors. You know, we hustle and bustle all week so we can take time for the weekend to either rest, play, or hustle and bustle to get everything else done that we didn't get done during the week. It's a vicious, vicious cycle. And what I wanted to share with you is, what if you could add some of that rest and play into your life more often? Could you play co-ed volleyball? Could you join a bowling league? I know with COVID there's going to be some restrictions right now, but could you join a book club? What could you do so you have something to look forward to on a regular basis? And it can be during the week. It doesn't just have to be on the weekend. But what can you do that you would have something to look forward to that would make it so you have no choice but to focus in that particular activity? A couple months ago when I still had the studio, boxing was a really, really, really good example. As you're doing boxing with your partner, whether you're the one blocking or you're the one hitting, you have to be in the moment. You have to be watching your partner. You can talk to your partner, but they can't talk back if they're hitting, right? Because they need to be focusing on their breathing and their punches. You can talk to them, you can distract them, but at the end of the day, the point here is your eyes are on their eyes. Your faces are locked together. You're watching every move they're making, and your focus pads are up. Because if you move to even talk to me if I'm walking around, you're going to get hit. So fitness boxing is a really good example about being in the moment. Can't worry about your bills. You can't worry about work. You can't worry about your expectations. You can't worry about your family. If you're boxing, you've got to worry about yourself. And it's not even worrying about yourself, right? You're just in the moment. You're reacting. You are going with the flow and you're moving your body. So why is rest and play so important besides for health reasons? So rest helps you unwind for the night so you can go ahead and get a really good sleep. So you're enhancing your bedtime routine, which helps you prepare for the evening. And then you are set up for success for a morning routine to get your day off on the right track. So that's one reason why rest is important. And as well, having rest in your day means you're not just crunching in a lot of everything on the weekend. So this is the goal with today's podcast, is try to see how you can find rest and balance into your day-to-day. So you can have more of that balance and blend throughout all of your 7 days a week and not just certain days. And when I say weekend, I know there's a lot of people listening that have different shifts. It doesn't have to be Saturday, Sunday. It can be whatever weekend speaks to you. And I know it's even harder if you're working a split shift where you get Tuesday off and then you get Saturday off because you really don't have the 2 days back to back to get everything that one would normally get done during the weekend. So you are going to want to practice rest and play throughout your week. Okay, so rest we talked about, but play. Why is play so important as adults? As adults in our 40s, women who are giving so much time to our families and our partners and our employers, or we're entrepreneurs and we're not in a relationship and we feel like we have to do even more ourselves. Why is play so important? And why am I sitting here, standing, walking, whichever, sharing some of my stories about rest and play when I just got through admitting that these are two of my hardest vices? Okay, play is important because it brings creativity into our systems and into our lives because we are so in the moment. So if you're coloring, if you're painting, if you're doing anything that you need to focus on a creative element, if you're working on a bullet journal, if you're knitting, again, you're in the moment. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. But creativity allows time for our intentions to manifest. Let me say that again. Creativity allows time for our intentions to manifest. You get lost in the moment and you're letting the universe do its magic in terms of letting thoughts come to you. You're not focusing on the problem. You have already defined what you want to change. You already know what areas you want to work on or improve or where you're frustrated. And maybe one of your patterns is to just work on that idea until problem solved and it's done. Or until you're able to move on. You just focus. But my friends, get some rest in there and get some playtime in there. That energy, especially with the playtime, is going to shift everything. And the time that you are doing that is going to allow your intentions to come into manifestation. Wow, that's huge, right? So creativity, play. Play can be coloring with your kids. Play can be working on a journal. Play can be baking in the kitchen without the pressure of a timetable. So I guess that's how I like to define play. Play is doing something you enjoy without the definition of a timetable. So play could be hanging out with friends and sitting there talking, playing a game of cards, board game. It could be camping, again. And I guess the reason why camping keeps on coming up is because my July calendar is beautiful. It has like a brook and a tent and some grass, and people you can tell they're camping because there's a flashlight in the tent, and it just looks so peaceful. And I would love to be there. I would love to be there on the hike. I would, camping in a tent isn't for me anymore, but when I do go away on those retreats, that for me is both rest and play. And that's exactly what I love about those weekends. They are 90%, they're about 90% rest and play with 10% work. And I could be off with those numbers a little bit because I'm not really working at those retreats. Phenomenal though. You have downtime, you have playtime, you have time to connect with people, and you come back refreshed and recharged. And that's exactly what rest and play is all about. That's exactly what your long weekend, but any weekend should be about. It should be about expanding what you have and what you do on the daily, but not on such a time schedule. And some of us are lucky right now because we're still at home and the kids aren't in school and it's summertime. But when we go back to school, if they go back to their activities, depending what that looks like, I can tell you, I've been there. 3 kids, different activities. It was hustle from 8 o'clock in the morning for the first soccer game to having to get the food and the snacks and the treats ready if it was our turn. And then sometimes it was 2 or 3 kids playing back to back. So you're at the soccer field from 8 until 1. And then there's laundry and cooking and meal prep. And sometimes the list just gets so big that how do you pause? How do you actually pause enough to plan for the next day? How do you pause to enjoy the moment? Do you have to go away? Do you have to go for a road trip in order to enjoy the moment? And a good question to ask yourself is, do you relax better at somebody else's house? Or do you relax better in your own house? For the longest time, I couldn't relax in my own house. Not here, not now, but we're talking back about 8 years. I could not relax in my own house. I always felt like there was work. I'm going to repeat that. I always felt like there was work that I had to do. laundry that had to get done, a house that had to be cleaned. It wasn't, besides the fact when my children were really, really little and I got to sit on the floor and play with them, and then maybe tobogganing, actually quite a bit tobogganing and road trips, but we actually played much better when we left the house. We would go to the market. We would join a book club at the library for mothers and daughters. We would join different teams, or they would join teams, and I would sit and watch, and we would hang out. That playtime was for all of us. The children, their playtime looked different than my playtime. My playtime may have been talking to the other moms, relaxing, having a cup of tea. That's rest and play. It wasn't one more thing I had to do. And that's why I wanted to share some of this with you, because we're in summer now. We are a couple weeks into summer, and we're into July. We're heading into week 2, or our first full week of July, I guess. And we have a couple months where we can maximize rest and play. What is that going to look like for you? I try every single day to get rest and play in. I joke about working from my floating office, which is an inner tube in the pool. I don't do it all the time, because sometimes I'll send a message to Tony saying, oh, the boss, she is so mean. She doesn't give me a break at all today. And that's because I feel like it's more important to finish a project, and I'm my own boss, right? I feel like it's more important to finish what I'm working on than it is to take a break. That's when my priorities are wrong. And how many of you, and don't put your hands up, I can't see them, but you can comment, you can like, you can send me a message. You can go to asksonia.ca to always reach me. But how many of you have done the same thing? You just wanted to get through this one thing, or give me 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes leads to 10, leads to 15. So not only are you stretching your boundaries of the day and you're not respecting your bookends, and you're definitely not keeping to containers of time per project, which is a topic for a different conversation. But again, any questions, reach out to me about this. But eventually you bleed into other containers of time that are just as important. Your rest and your play is just as important as anything else that you have to do. Without rest, you're risking injury. Without rest, you're risking heightened emotional eating. Without rest, you're not making the proper financial decisions to align with your budget to help you reach some of your goals, because you're exhausted and you're tired. And rest could be yoga. Rest could be meditation. Rest can be journaling. Rest doesn't have to be a nap or sleeping on the couch. Rest can be slowing right down to wherever you're the most comfortable. And if yoga's new, that's fine. Maybe try it. If you've tried it before and you didn't think it was for you, try it again. There are so many different types of yoga, and I am a higher intensity person, but I have to say, over the last couple months, I've been doing a little bit more yoga. I've been focused a lot more on stretches, different types of movement like functional fitness, and putting the fun factor into what I'm doing, such as swimming and cycling. And that's exactly the key, the fun factor. So swimming and cycling fall into play, right? Because I'm moving my body. It's something I'm looking forward to. What are you doing for play throughout the day? One of the things I do is I've taken my journal. I've created something called Creative Collections. You've heard me mention this before. But it means my day-to-day journal where I make notes for my business and where I track what I've done through a habit tracker, through my Creative Collections. All of it is part bullet journal, part scrapbooking with stickers and with comments and with goals and with aspirations. That coloring, that customizing, that creativity is part of my play. If I get a sale, I color something. If I read a book, I color something. And I never realized what it felt like until recently to stop what I'm doing and color. I might be coloring for 3 seconds. It doesn't matter. The point is, I am taking a break and I'm adding more creativity to my life because of something I've done or because I'm tracking my habits, or I guess it's a way of tracking what I've done, whether I've read a book off my book list and I color that book in, or I'm preparing my daily action item list on through my creative collections, and I'm using pinks and greens and yellows and stickers and affirmations to make it more enjoyable to look at, to remind me of the beauty that surrounds us and the creativity that surfaces. Because if the creativity is allowed, it's going to expand in other areas of your life. You know, one of the things that happens when we don't rest and play enough is we get stuck. We get stuck in areas such as personal growth. We get stuck in areas as in meal planning and meal prep. We get stuck in energy because we're exhausted or we're drained or we just don't know what to do next. So try to fit some rest and play into your day every single day. And if you don't know where to start, reach out. We'll have a conversation. But by adding a little bit of rest and play to your life, I would say get ready to make anything happen. It does start with rest and play. Because with rest and play, I know we talked about how creativity equals the time for our intentions to manifest. But as well, with rest and play, you know what happens is you fill your life with curiosity and wonder. You wonder what it's like to win that hockey game. You are full of curiosity if you decide to try a new recipe. Those fall under play, and they're creative. Do you see what I mean? Do you hear what I'm saying? It's fun when you make one batch of cookies and they're phenomenal and everybody wants the batch and it now becomes your signature dish and you look forward to making them. It makes you feel good, but it all started out of play and some creativity. While you're making those cookies, you're not obsessing about anything else. Turn the music on, make a cup of tea, dance in the kitchen, enjoy the moment. And that's where play has an impact on your day-to-day life. What can you do this week to help yourself enjoy the moment a little bit more, to add some play to that moment? Could you connect with me and use some of my creative collections as part of your habit tracking or your diarizing, or to keep track of your health and fitness goals, or even your budget, and start coloring the sheet as you're doodling and start seeing what comes out? Can you color for a few minutes in between TV shows? Could you break down your fitness routine to 3 to 4 minute segments throughout the day of 10 minutes at a time? That would be more playful, wouldn't it? The heaviness, the dauntiness of having to get up and go to a gym and wear a mask to be around other people, to not sure how comfortable you are, especially if your body's not been in motion for the last 3 or 4 months because you've been so overwhelmed and honed in and focused on the realities of life at that time. You weren't able to step away and play. And that happens. That happens in our life, that sometimes we can't step away and play. But the more we incorporate play as a healthy habit into our day-to-day life, you miss it. You very much miss it. So I can tell you, I'm actually going to share a story with Tony, what he does every morning, and I think it's phenomenal. He gets himself up in time where he can watch a little bit of his Facebook and go through some of his videos on there as he's having his morning coffee and his morning breakfast. His morning breakfast, because he has another one, some snacks a bit later. But every morning I hear him laughing. So he starts his morning, as busy as it is, he gets himself up a little bit earlier so he can watch his clips on Facebook, and he starts his day off with laughter. And I think that's amazing. Starting your day off with laughter is definitely going to set the stage, right? That's how you can add play into something like a busy morning. Crank the music up a little bit more if you like the song, or if you know the family likes the song, and would it hurt you to dance for 3 minutes in the kitchen before the day even gets started? Play the music in the shower. Motivating, inspirational message that you look forward to. So when it comes to play, you want to look forward to it. When it comes to rest, you want to look forward to it. These things should both be priorities. Both of these points should be priorities, rest and play. We make a priority in our lives to journal our thoughts and to think about our goals and to move forward with those intentions and with new direction. But do we even know what a priority is? So a priority is something so important that you make time to do it. I'm going to repeat that because I think you need to hear it again. A priority is something that is so important you need to make time to do it. Is rest and play a priority for you? Do you go to bed at night at a certain time so you're well rested the next day? Are you still on your phone late at night so you've got the blue light technology distracting you from going to sleep? When it comes to focusing on priorities, the real priorities that you feel in your bones, the ones that make everything fall into place, it's crazy. It's crazy how good you feel when you focus on your priorities because, yes, everything falls into place. So let's talk about your priorities. Priorities can change. We've seen the shift in priorities over the last 4 months. We're going to continue to see the shift in priorities in the next 4 months as people get back from stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, whatever it looks like. Or are we going to have to pause and take a step back? Or have we reevaluated what is really so important to us that we want to make time to do it? Is family now more important? Is living a healthier lifestyle now more important? What are some of your priorities that have surfaced in the last 3 to 4 months that you don't want to change? Priorities can change. That's normal, and that's okay. Priorities do change over the course of our life. But a priority is something that is important to you. It might require you to sacrifice in other areas of your life. But it ultimately has a huge payoff, even if you can't see it right now. So let's go back to Tony's story Tony's reality every morning as he gets up early enough so he can enjoy 15, 20 minutes of Facebook time where he is listening to, not always listening to like videos and clips, but if there's a funny, he will definitely stop and listen to it. So more often than not, he is starting his day off with a laugh. So if you're looking for more play in your day, how much worth it to you would it be to get up a little bit earlier so you can make sure that you have some laughter and some smiles before you even start work? I think that's pretty amazing, right? I would definitely do that myself. I get to listen in and enjoy it, but it definitely lightens me up. And that helps me start my day on the right path for success. What would something like that take? Probably setting your alarm clock 15 minutes earlier, having your clothes picked out and put to the side so they're ready to go so you're not distracted, knowing what you're going to have for breakfast or having it all set up and ready to go. Going to bed maybe 15 minutes earlier so you're still getting the right amount of sleep. Or maybe for your rest, you need to get a better rest. Maybe you're going to spend more time outdoors so when you do come in, you're tired and ready to go to sleep with a nice cup of herbal tea before you settle into your nighttime routine. All of these little shifts will make a difference between rest and play. I'm not going to go on too long tonight, but I've shared with you some ideas about putting inspiration into action when it comes to rest and play. Why it is so important, especially for play as we get older, because that creativity carves out time for us to keep our intentions to the side and have everything manifest while we're busy thinking of something else. The time is really what we're looking for here, because that time you get to enjoy while the universe is working its magic. Or whatever intentions you've set, ideas will come to you during your playtime. You'll brush them off, you won't think too much of it, or it might be the aha moment. But what are you doing for play? Are you playing cards with your friends? Do you get together once a week with your girlfriends and play cards or board games with couples? Do you get together at a friend's pool or go for a hike with certain people? That used to be one of my highlights. I used to go for a hike with a girlfriend when I lived up north, and we would take the dogs every Sunday throughout the whole year. Actually, I think it was fall till spring. Every year we would do that. I don't think we hiked in the summer. I don't recall, because we went to a provincial park. But that was playtime, right? We went different hikes. The dogs ran around. We got to laugh and joke. I wasn't worried about work. I wasn't worried about life. We may have talked about those things, but the intention is you go back and forth and you enjoy the moment. That's what play helps you do. And as we're talking about creativity, play, rest, we touched base a little bit on priorities and really what matters to you. And when we can align all of that together, it helps with putting everything together so you're not reserving your rest and play for the weekends. Because that's the end result here is we want to find rest and play in every day. Let me know what questions you have. I am always here to help you, and I look forward to hearing what you're doing for rest and play for the week. Let me know what else I can share, and have yourself a great week, my friends. Thank you so much again for chiming in. It's Sonia with Fresh Approach Fitness, a wellness company. Until we meet again next Sunday, you can find me on all of the social media feeds under Fresh Approach Fitness, a wellness company, or I think under Twitter, I am at Sonia Shines. Everything else should be Fresh Approach Fitness. LinkedIn is Sonia Janice as well. Okay, my friends, have yourself a great week. Continue to inspire. Know that you are stronger than your average chick. Wake, hustle, and repeat tomorrow, right? Use play and rest to awaken your magic and know that you are strong, that you are hopeful, that you are amazing, that you are happy, that you are blessed, that you are thankful, and that you are fearless. We got this. Have yourself a fantastic week.